Join me today as I begin to reveal the 100 favorite fantasy novels I've ever read. Today, the first 20. Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the father and son show where we talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things. Today, it's all about fantasy fiction as I'm getting into one of those annual lists and sharing my top 100 favorite fantasy novels. How many of these will you agree are favorites? We'll see. And maybe you'll come up with some books that you haven't read yet, and you're going to add on the TBR. If you enjoy this, be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Thanks. I've taken the time to update my list because I did this last year as well. The list was impacted by nearly 90 books that I've consumed in 2024. How many of them made the top 100? Because each new edition pushes another book off the list, falling into oblivion. I'll be giving you this updated list in 5 parts. So this is part 1. We're going to start at, the bottom, the Happy to Be Here book, number 100, and move up to 81. Let's get to it and see the books. Number 100, hanging on by the skin of its teeth, is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, book 5 in the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. This was published in 2003 and is simple fantasy. The book introduces Dumbledore's army, a secret student organization Harry forms to teach his classmates defensive magic in response to the Ministry of Magic's refusal to properly prepare students for the dangers ahead. This is the longest book in the series, with 766 pages in the US edition and over 255,000 words. Number 99, The Way of Shadows, book 1 in the Night Angel trilogy by Brent Weeks, which was published in 2008. Its genre, dark fantasy. This introduces Kyler Stern, a street rat turned assassin, known for its gripping action and morally complex characters. This is Brent Weeks' debut novel that launched his career as a fantasy author. He actually originally self-published a different novel before writing the Night Angel trilogy, and then decided to shelve that work and focus on this instead. Number 98, Dragon's Eye. This is book 13 of the Dragon Riders of Pern series by Anne McCaffrey, published in 1997. The genre is sci-fi fantasy. This chronicles the early days of Pern's fight against the Red, highlights the development of key traditions in Pernese culture. The Pern series is technically science fiction, but with a heavy leaning and feel of fantasy. And that's an intentional genre blend by the author. This particular book was written as a prequel to the main Dragon Riders Pern series, exploring earlier periods of Pern's history, and was part of Anne McCaffrey's effort to flesh out the world's lore and timeline, really appealing to the longtime fans. Number 97, The Vampire Lestat, book 2 of the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. This was published in 1985 and is gothic horror, and I consider horror sufficiently fantasy adjacent to make the list. This explores Lestat's backstory and rise as a vampire. It's known for its lush prose and philosophical musings on immortality. This book came about because Lestat was a really popular character in book 1, The Interview with the Vampire, so she kind of redid Lestat and gave us more. The book's depiction of vampires as complex, charismatic, and morally ambiguous beings really helped redefine the vampire genre, paving the way for many contemporary vampire stories in literature, film, and television. Number 96 is Turncoat, Dresden Files, book 11, written by Jim Butcher and published in 2009. Oh man, I love this series. This is urban fantasy and sets the bar for what that should be like. Harry Dresden in this story faces betrayal and uncovers secrets within the White Council. It's renowned for its twists and emotional stakes. This is the first book in the Dresden Files series to feature a cover illustrated by Chris McGrath. McGrath's artwork became the standard for the series moving forward, giving Harry Dresden a now iconic visual representation that resonates strongly with fans. The newest book that I added to this list, For a Few Days More, by Z.B. Steele, which was published in 2023, just a year ago. It was December. This is dark fantasy, and it's a Western-style dark fantasy noted for its fast-paced, gritty narrative and complex characters, and a pretty shocking fellow in a red cloak. This novel has been described as a bloody, violent, and sometimes hilarious tale that feels like a Tarantino film. That's accurate, and it appeals both to fans of grimdark fantasy and Western genres. Number 94, World War Z, An Oral History of the Zombie War by Max Brooks, published in 2006. This is horror and apocalyptic fiction. It's a collection of fictional interviews documenting a global zombie apocalypse. It's celebrated for its unique format as well as its social commentary. The audiobook features a full cast, including many notable actors and especially the double threat voice actor, Mark Hamill. Number 93, The Wish Song of Shannara, Book 3 of the Shannara series, sequence, chronicle. I never know what to call it, just Shannara. This is by Terry Brooks and was published in 1985. It's categorized as high fantasy. This book focuses on siblings Bryn and Jer Omsford as they fight against the spread of the Mord Wraiths. It's noted for its exploration of sacrifice and the bonds of family. It was the first book of the Shannara series to feature a female protagonist as one of the central characters, marking a significant shift in representation within the series. Number 92 is Dragon Song, Back to Pern. This is the third book of the Dragon Riders of Pern series by Anne McCaffrey, published in 1976. Again, this is sci-fi fantasy. This book introduces Menely, a young, adorable girl breaking gender norms by pursuing her passion for music. It's known for its heartwarming story of personal discovery. Originally, this was written as a standalone novel intended for young adult readers, but its success led to the creation of the Harper Hall trilogy, which was my first experience with the Pern books, and it makes Dragon Song the first book in a beloved sub-series of the Dragon Riders of Pern universe. Number 91, Dragon Singer, which is book 4 in the series and the second of the Harper Hall trilogy. So also by Anne McCaffrey, also published in 1976, also sci-fi fantasy. This focuses on Menely's journey as she develops her musical talents and finds her place in Pern's Harper Hall. It's praised for its empowering themes and character growth. This is one of the earliest science fiction novels to feature a young female protagonist pursuing her creative position in a male-dominated environment. This focus resonated with readers and helped Dragon Singer win a 1979 Margaret A. Edwards Award, recognizing McCaffrey's contribution to young adult literature. Number 90, Shadow's Edge, second book in the Night Angel trilogy by Brent Weeks, published in 2008. Again, dark fantasy. Kyler wrestles with his role as an assassin while dealing with love, loyalty, and morality. This builds upon the series' fast-paced, action-packed foundation. This book was part of an ambitious publication schedule for the Night Angel trilogy, with all 3 books released in quick succession over just 3 months in 2008. Number 89, Red Sister, the first book of the Book of the Ancestor trilogy by Mark Lawrence, published in 2017. The genre is dark fantasy. This introduces Nona Gray, a young girl trained as an assassin in a convent. Yeah, that's a different take. Celebrated for its strong protagonist and unique blend of world building and action. The opening line of the book And it's become one of the most iconic and quoted opening lines in modern fantasy. It is important, when killing a nun, to ensure that you bring an army of sufficient size. Love it. Number 88 is Grey Sister, the second book from the Book of the Ancestor trilogy, again by Mark Lawrence, this time coming out the next year, 2018. Genre is still dark fantasy. Now we've got Nona Gray as she hones her skills at the convent while facing betrayal and escalating dangers. This one's noted for its intricate plotting and fast paced action. This is one of the books that Mark Lawrence actually wrote while balancing his career as a research scientist in artificial intelligence. This author is one smart dude. Number 87, The Living Dead. This is written sort of as a collaboration, I'll explain, by George A. Romero and Daniel Kraus, published in 2020. The genre is horror zombie apocalypse. This is a sprawling exploration of a zombie outbreak and its global consequences. It blends horror with social commentary on humanity's flaws and resilience. This is based on a partially written manuscript by Romero, the legendary filmmaker behind Night of the Living Dead. After Romero's passing in 2017, Daniel Kraus was chosen to complete the book. Romero had that goal but never got there. So Kraus drew on extensive notes and then conversations with Romero's widow to ensure the novel stayed true to Romero's vision. And it's fantastic. Number 86 is Holy Sister, the final book of Mark Lawrence's Book of the Ancestor trilogy, which came out in 2019. So if you caught that, the 3 books of this trilogy came out in successive years. The genre, dark fantasy. This concludes the trilogy with Nona Gray facing her destiny amidst political and magical threats. It's praised for its emotional depth and thrilling action. Holy Sister was written concurrently with the first drafts of Red Sister and Grey Sister. Mark Lawrence's style is to often plan his trilogies as one cohesive whole. By writing parts of all 3 of them simultaneously, he ensures consistency and fully realized character arcs. It works. It's a great trilogy. Number 85, A Game of Thrones, Book 1 of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. This was published back in 1996 and is considered epic fantasy. It introduces the political intrigue, warring families, and morally ambiguous characters of Westeros. It's renowned for its unpredictable plot, and nobody's safe, and willingness to subvert fantasy tropes. George R.R. Martin originally conceived the series as a trilogy. Maybe he should have stuck with that, since he stalled out after giving us 5 books, and 2 more have been promised for over 12 years now. Number 84 is Before They Are Hanged, the second book in Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy. Published back in 2007, this is grimdark fantasy. This book deepens the characters we met in the first book of the trilogy and explores their moral complexities as they embark on dangerous journeys. It's known for its sharp wit and brutal, realistic depiction of war. Abercrombie credits the positive reception of his first book, The Blade itself, with giving him the freedom to explore darker humor and more complex character dynamics in this sequel. I actually find the first book, in my opinion, to be better, but there are parts of this book that stand out and really shine. I will definitely say so. Number 83 is Night of Knives, a novel of the Malazan Empire, Book 1. This is by Ian C. Esselmont and came out in 2004 and is classified as high fantasy. This is a prequel exploring the night of Emperor Calanved's ascension and the rise of the Malazan Empire. It's known for its compact storytelling and atmospheric tension. This book was the first one that Esselmont published in the Malazan universe, which he co-created with Stephen Erickson. Initially, it was released by a small Canadian press in 2004. with a limited print run that made it difficult to find. It was then re released by a larger publisher in 2007 based upon the growing popularity of the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. Number 82 is The Bands of Mourning, Book 6 of the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson, which came out in 2016. Genre would be steampunk fantasy. This book continues Wax and Wayne's adventures as they uncover secrets about the ancient past. It combines mystery, action, and humor with lore expansion. This book was released just 3 months after Shadows of Self, making it one of the quickest back-to-back releases in Sanderson's career. This rapid publication schedule was possible because Sanderson had already completed the drafts for both books before the release of Shadows of Self. And our last book for today is another Malazan item, Stonewielder, the third of the novels of the Malazan Empire by Ian C. Esselmont. This one came out in 2010 and is again high fantasy. This book focuses on Greymane and the Corelry Front, an area largely unexplored in the main Malazan sequence. It's known for its exploration of religious conflict and large-scale battles. This is the first of his novels of the Malazan Empire to be published simultaneously in the United States and the United Kingdom. It marks a turning point in Esselmont's career, as it signaled growing international recognition and alignment with the broader success of the Malazan series, again co-created by Esselmont and Stephen Erickson. And that's where I'll leave you for today. How many of these are amongst your favorite reads? Any of them that you haven't read at all? Got any thoughts at all? Use the comment box and tell me what you're thinking. I love to see what you feel about the books I put forward, and I will respond to your comments. Thanks for watching. Be sure to come back for the next editions as we work our way up to number 1. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.